Alright, wagwan everybody. Welcome to my channel. I'm the Broke Student Chef, and today we're going to be making healthy whole wheat Nigerian meat pie. Before you go ahead and watch this video, do subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn on the post notification button so you can be up to date, when I post videos and yada yada yada. So without further ado, let's get into this video. I'm starting off with my chopping things. That is, I am chopping my vegetables. I'm starting off with four small potatoes. I live in the Netherlands, and these are kruimige potatoes, which means that they're soft, so I don't have to boil them before I put them in my filling. But if you have strong potatoes, or your potatoes are usually hard, just like boil it for like 2 to 3 minutes after chopping them into cubes, and you should be fine. Anyways, I rinsed off my potatoes, and now I'm gonna chop one big onion, and I want to chop it into cubes so that it like mixes well with the rest of the filling. And as you guys can see or could see in the beginning of the video, I also had a vegetable mix. Feel free to add whatever you like. When it comes to vegetables, you can add carrots, you can add peach, you can put paprika if you want. I don't know about broccoli and spinach, but yeah, just add what you like. Anyways, moving on to the oil. I'm using sunflower oil, and I'm very mindful of the amount of oil I use. I don't like using a lot of oil because, the meat we're going to be using for this recipe already has some, it's on fat, so there's no need to add too much oil to the mixture. So what I do next is I just put the onion in the hot oil and just mix it around, and then proceed to add in my seasoning. So for my measurements, when it comes to seasoning, I'm using the same thing for everything. So that is, I'm using 1 teaspoon per seasoning, and I'm starting off with low sodium salt. Low sodium salt is my favorite salt to use. I've not used any other salts in years. And then I use curry. I think I got this curry from Tesco when I was in the UK doing my London girl things in it. So yeah, I got that from there. It's my favorite curry so far, so I always make sure to smuggle some into this country. Then I'm adding Cameroonian pepper. I got this from the African store. If you don't have Cameroonian pepper, don't worry, just add cayenne pepper. You should be fine. You should be good. You're gonna be alright. Gonna be okay. So anyways, I allow my oil to get brown a little bit, before I add my chicken stock cubes from Knorr. And I think I use 2 cubes of stock cubes. And with cubes, I mean the little ones, because per stock cubes you have like 2 cubes in there. I don't even know how to explain it, but it's the small ones, and I use 2 of those. Yeah. So anyways, I'm gonna proceed to adding my meat into this mixture, and I'm using lean ground beef. Definitely my favorite meat to cook with. It's not too fatty, it's healthy. I like it. You should like it too. So yeah. And one thing I've also started adding into my meat pie is ground chicken. You guys are gonna see it shortly in the video, but ever since I started adding ground chicken to my meat pie, my life has changed. The feeling is just so delicious. I don't know how to explain it, but you need to start doing this, guys. Just give it a try. Let me know how it works out for you guys. And yeah, so this is the ground chicken that I got from Albertine, and I'm adding it to my filling, and I'm gonna mix it up, make sure the oil and the onion really gets into the meat so it cooks properly. And I'm gonna wait for it to start changing color, so the beef will get brown and the chicken will have this like light grayish brownish color. So once that starts happening, I'm gonna move on to adding chicken seasoning. But before I do that, I just allow the meat to cook itself for a while, just maybe like 5 minutes. Just give it like 5 to 6 minutes, for it to cook and get its flavor right there. So yeah, just go ahead and just mix it. Take your time with the seasoning. With the filling. Yeah, there's no rush. So yeah. At this point, I am adding my chicken seasoning. This is not a necessary step, but you know me, I like my flavor, if you know what I mean. So I like to add whatever it is I can add to make sure that when I put this meat pie in my mouth, it's tasting delicious. So I add my chicken powder to the whole mixture, and I just mix everything together and allow it to cook for a little while before I add in my potatoes. And like I said, this is not a process you need to rush. Make sure you're cooking your filling on medium heat so that everything cooks properly and nothing gets burnt while doing so. So now, now that the meat, has changed color, is properly cooked, I add my potatoes in there because potatoes take longer to cook than regular vegetables. So yeah, I just put that in there, mix it around, and allow that to cook together for like maybe 2 to 3 minutes before I go ahead to add the next few ingredients. Alright, and now I am adding my vegetable mix. Like I said, you can use any kind of vegetables you like. Me, I just like this one because it saves me the stress of chopping stuff up. Like, it really saves me the stress. So I add, I think, about 2 cups of vegetables, for like I think about 900 grams of meat, which is perfectly fine, for the amount of meat pie that I'm going to make. And yeah, so while I'm allowing this to simmer and cook and mix together and just tantalize everything together, I'm gonna wait to poke my potatoes, because once I poke it and I feel that it's starting to soften up, I can go ahead and taste it. And depending on how it's tasting to me, I can add some more seasoning. Like right here, like I felt like I needed more Cameroonian pepper, so I put that in there, and I felt like I was missing some more some more oomph, so I added like 1 extra stock cube. And yeah, so now I'm just mixing everything and I'm allowing everything to just like cook and simmer together, and that should be like for maybe an extra 5 minutes after I've noticed that the potatoes start softening. So once the thing is done, I just set it aside and allow it to cook. And I allow it to cool off. Anyways, we're moving on to the dough. I'm using whole wheat flour, and I'm using 8 cups of flour, and I am putting in 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of low sodium salt, and I'm adding erythritol. I don't like putting stevia in my food because that thing is so strong and it's a hit or miss, so forget about the stevia. Just use erythritol. If you don't have any sugar replacement, just forget about it. Then I'm mixing everything together before I add my butter in there. And when it comes to the butter, I just cut it into cubes and then add it to my dough, to my mixture, so that it's easier for me to mix everything together. So when it comes down to mixing, I like to take my time. It takes me about 15 to 20 minutes to mix up my dough properly. And what I intend to do is to ensure that the dough turns into crumbs, and you guys are gonna see what it looks like. Just take your time when doing this, especially if your butter is cold. No need to rush the process. We just want to have good food. We want to have a good time. So yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and mix it and until I get that crumb-like texture, which I'm going to show you guys right now. So this is exactly what you should be having. Once you see this, it's time to break the eggs. So I'm using 3 eggs right now. I'm breaking them into my bowl, and I'm going to mix them around so that everything mixes properly, obviously. And then I'm gonna dig a hole in the dough and begin to mix everything together. Now this process is sticky, guys. If it's sticky, don't worry, it does not mean anything is wrong. Just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going until you have one uniform texture. And this is what it's supposed to look like. So once it looks like this, I add like a little bit of warm milk. I always warm it up for a minute in my microwave, and I think it should be like 125 milliliters of milk. So then I put it in the middle of the dough and I mix it together, like just like the egg situation. This is another sticky part of the whole process, you know. So don't worry if you feel like your dough is way too sticky, it's clinging to your hands or whatever. Just keep adding 1 tablespoon of flour until you get a soft dough that is easy for you to poke a hole in. Don't like add like a lot of flour at a time, but you want to have your dough like this so that when you stick your finger in it and you poke a hole in there, it doesn't like stick to your finger that much. So yeah, once you have that, we're ready to make our meat pie. Let's get it on. So then what I do is I take a handful of dough and I roll it up into a ball, and then I flatten it on a flat surface and use my stuff to like roll it over. Honestly, don't know what it's called, but yeah, then I use a regular bowl that I have to draw the shape of the meat pie, and then I flip it just to put my filling in there. I use about one and a half tablespoon of filling per meat pie. That's more than enough. Yeah, that's more than enough actually. Yeah, shouldn't be more than that. So then I flip it over to close it, and then I use my fork to seal the meat pie. Please do not be lazy with this process, because if you are, your meat pie is gonna open and you're not gonna like it. So what I make sure is I really press the dough together, and then I lift it to check if it's properly closed. So I put my meat pie on baking sheet so I don't have to grease my tray and whatever, go through all that process. And then I break an egg, mix it, and use a baking brush to paint the surface of the meat pie. This is to give it that brownish color that is so typical of Nigerian meat pie to have. So once I'm done doing this, we're gonna put our meat pie in the oven, and yeah, we're almost done, guys. We're almost done. So I like to put my meat pie on medium heat. For me, that's 150 degrees Celsius, and I leave it there for approximately 45 minutes. In that time, I don't check it, I don't do nothing. After 45 minutes, I take it out, and then I start poking in there just to find some soft bouncy meat pie, you know what I mean? Really delicious. I tasted it, broke it open, and the dough did not break. So this is how I made my whole wheat Nigerian meat pie. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, like, share, subscribe. Have any questions, comment, I will respond. And yeah, share this video and I might just make more. I will see y'all in my next one, y'all. Bye. Thanks for watching.